Welcome to Unfiltered and Unstoppable with Romesburg. Real strategies for real advisors, a podcast that dives into what it takes to scale a thriving financial practice. Each week, we'll discuss actionable strategies, tools, and insights to keep you ahead in today's financial landscape. From innovative products and powerful marketing tactics, you'll get unfiltered truth and unstoppable strategies. Let's get started by building your unstoppable financial practice today.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered and Unstoppable. I am your host, Rob Romesburg, and after more than 2 decades officially working alongside advisors, here's what I can tell you with complete certainty. Trust is not earned the way most advisors think it is. It's not built in the recommendation. It's not built in the math. It's not built by explaining more. Trust is actually built much earlier than that, and much quieter, actually. And the truth that most of us don't like to admit is that clients don't choose us or don't choose advisors the way that we think they do. Meaning, for the most part, they aren't sitting around running spreadsheets in their head. They're not comparing credentials line by line. They're not picking the most complex plan in the room. Man, I could tell that you've spent days and weeks and weekends on this. Ultimately, what's really, truly happening is that individuals, clients, families, they are choosing the advisor that they feel the safest with. Ultimately, that's what that means. The individual, the firm that they feel the safest with. So the one who listens, the one who explains without talking down to them. And I get it, you've been doing this 15, 20, 30 years, and this is the 95th time you've explained it. I understand. That they want to work with the one that makes them feel calm in a noisy, uncertain world. And what's really fascinating to me, even after all these years, is this. What I have found is that most trust decisions are made before the first recommendation is ever presented. Meaning, before you've even opened up your folder, before you've even turned on the big screen, before you've even slid across the piece of paper, they've already made a decision. So what that means is, if trust hasn't already been established, that the best plan in the world might still feel really risky or intimidating, or I might understand it, but I might not want to understand it. So what we're going to break down today is really the psychology of trust. How clients really decide who they want to work with. Why logic is actually it's actually secondary. Really, truly, it comes after emotion. And what can you do to intentionally design trust instead of hoping that it magically appears? Because trust isn't luck. Trust isn't luck at all. Trust is provided by design. So we need to have a big shift for some of you, and some of you might be old hat, but this is a reminder. But a big shift for some of you from going from logic to emotion. And most people believe that trust is earned by, you know what, I explained the strategy. I showed the math. you know what? I really proved that I know my stuff in there. I really proved that I'm the best in the business. Now, that's not wrong. It's just incomplete. It's not exactly what needs to happen. And the real order of operations is you need to realize that clients feel first, emotions come first, then they rationalize. Trust more than anything is emotional well before it's intellectual. So what you need to recognize is that people don't trust because they understand. They understand because they trust. So let me say that again for everybody in the back of the room there. People don't trust because they understand. They understand because they trust. So that's what I meant earlier of maybe I do understand, but I don't want to understand because I don't trust you. Maybe I don't feel good. Maybe I don't feel good in the firm. And if you don't respect that order as the advisor, you're going to keep coming into stalled decisions. You're going to keep coming into it, the second guessing, and definitely you're going to have the prospects that say, "Hey, this all looks great, but let me think about it." Really, what they're thinking about is you and your firm, and do they trust you, not the plan. That's really what they're thinking about. Is this someone I want to spend the next 20 years of my life with? That's the real decision that they have to make. So let's break this down practically. So I heard this a long time ago, and it's absolutely true. Clients don't want the best advisor, they want the safest one. Now that doesn't mean absolutely no way are you going to lose money. That's not what that means. What and this is where many advisors misunderstand trust. So once again, clients aren't searching for the best advisor. They're searching for the advisor who feels right for them. Not necessarily the smartest, not the one with all of the credentials, not the ones with the most complex plan. I've met many advisors over the years that have all of the initials behind their name, but were just so frustrated because they weren't bringing on clients. The primary reason for that is because more than likely you're showing all the plaques on the wall, you're showing all the initials behind your name, you're showing 101 pages to the plan, and you're not focusing at all on the emotion, on the trust, on the values of the individuals. Because what's happening throughout the whole meeting, the prospect is asking themselves, and they're asking themselves quietly, is this my person? Is this my person? Is this the person that I want to go to war with? Because guess what? Their retirement money, they want to protect that by any means necessary, right? So they're sitting there wondering, is this person going to take care of me? Will they be able to explain things clearly to me when things are out of control? And more importantly, are they going to be there for me when things get uncomfortable? You will quickly find that safety beats sophistication every single time. So, what I have seen, what I have found is that trust grows when your client feels emotionally protected, not intellectually impressed. They will trust you so much more if they feel protected by you and your firm. Now, when they feel confused, overwhelmed, or rushed, guess what? You could have the greatest plan in the world, the lowest fees in the world. Your plan could be absolutely perfect. They're not going to trust you. And that's a dramatic impact. So what you need to do is ask yourself honestly and right now, take some time and think about this question. Ask yourself and ask this about your firm as well. Do clients feel calmer at the end of the meeting with us, or do they feel more overloaded? Do they feel calmer when they walk into my firm, when they walk into my lobby, when they walk into my office? Or is it something to where they just feel overwhelmed, uh, overwhelmed with all of the trophies right of the way and all of the credentials right away? Maybe it's just an overwhelming feeling. Maybe we need to make it softer, a little homier. Because here's the thing: calm provides the ultimate trust signal. Because if you're calm and you're confident, not cocky, confident, and you are providing solutions in a very calm manner, that's what is going to win. Because the trust is built in how you communicate, not what you recommend. And I get it. Most of us think that we think the trust is built during the recommendation. In reality, the trust is built well before that, long before that. It, and here's how it works. Here's how you build trust. It's all about how you ask the questions. It's about how you give them space when you give them time to talk, meaning how much space are you giving them? Do they feel comfortable to think? Do they feel comfortable to ask questions? And there actually is an appropriate time to interrupt. And I don't mean rudely, but are you doing that in a responsible, respectful manner? And are you listening well? And are you really simplifying the process in their lives, or are you complicating it? That's what they want to know. And clients really trust advisors that make them feel understood. Not advisors that just make them feel educated. Let me teach you on everything, but do you really understand them? So there's a moment in every meeting that matters more than any chart. So when a client finishes making a point or a concern or a statement or going through their values, it is very important for you to pause and you repeat and you say, so just let me make sure that I'm hearing you correctly. And you repeat back exactly what they just said. That moment right there will do more for trust than any chart that you will ever show. 100%. Because the trust isn't built by talking, it's built by being a mirror, by helping them understand in an emphatic way that you are in their shoes and you absolutely understand. So here's another question. Ask yourself this question, and I want you to be extremely honest with yourself as you listen here. How much time do you actually spend in the discovery process uncovering a prospect's values? Once again, how much time are you actually literally finding out their values, not their goals? This isn't about numbers, not their numbers, not their timelines, but emphatically their values. Because I get it. As an advisor, you're probably really, really good at uncovering goals. So when do you want to retire? How much income do you need and when will you need it? What rate of return are you hoping for? So goals. You're great at that. Those are important questions. I'm not saying they're not, but they're not trust building questions. So here's the distinction here. So goals will tell you what someone wants, right? That's what they want. But a value will tell you why it matters. A value tells you why everything matters to these prospects. And your trust that you're trying to discover lives in that why. You find out their values, you will 100% gain that prospect as a client. So let me break it down a little bit further. So think about it. Let's say that we have two clients. They have the same exact goals. Retire at 62. But one of those clients, that goal is about freedom value. For another one of those clients, it's about health value. Another one of those clients, it's about family value. And maybe someone else, it's about security, another value. And then finally being able to exhale for that individual. Once again, if you don't understand the value behind the goal, you're totally guessing. And guess what? Your prospects and clients can feel that. And you don't want that. So your goals will drive your direction, right? Once again, goals are important, but the values drive the decision. And that decision is whether or not they work with you. It's a big one. So let's take it a step further here. So when was the last time that you intentionally measured a prospect's values? Meaning not casually, not in passing, but intentionally. So for example, asking questions along the lines of, when you think about your money, what matters most to you? Security or flexibility? What's more important to you right now? Growth or peace of mind? So if markets were volatile and they were volatile for a period of time, what would make you worry more? Losing money or losing sleep? Or you could even say something along the lines of, "Hey, I'm going to mention a few things here: security, freedom, family, health, faith, legacy. Which of these do you feel are most important to you right now? But more importantly, why are those most important to you right now?" And then right now, let's hit the pause button because this is key. Slow down. Take your time here. Dig deep. Listen. Let them think. Don't rush to the next question. And more importantly, don't let them not answer. Meaning, these aren't comfortable questions to answer. And it's probably the first time in a very long time or ever that they've been asked these questions. So they might not be able to pop them, or they might just be uncomfortable answering them right away. Be patient because this is where the trust will start forming. Clients trust advisors who see what matters to them, not just what they accomplish. So when your client feels that they're understood, ultimately their decisions feel safer. And when your recommendations are protecting their values, you'll see that resistance just fades, just goes away. Because as we said earlier, clients don't commit to plans; they commit to the values that they recognize as their own. So don't think of it anymore as selling strategies. Think of it as something much more important, as protecting what matters most to these prospects and ultimately when they become a client. And you will see immediately resisting dropping. You will see hesitation fading. And when the trust goes from emotional to durable, and that's when the clients will commit to values when they realize you recognize them as their own. That's what they want. And you want to make sure that you're able to create trust faster than expertise, and that's all about predictability. This might surprise some of you. Clients don't just trust what they understand, as we said earlier, but they trust what they feel is predictable. Clients trust people that they feel familiar with well before they fully trust their expertise. That's why referrals work. That's why radio works. That's why consistent communication works. You see, consistency creates comfort, and comfort creates trust. Your prospects will think when they come in, if you've had that radio program forever, or you've been drip marketing to them forever, it's going to be an immediate, I feel like I already know you. You're explaining things the way I understand. You sound like someone I'd want guiding me because they're familiar with you. And that predictability is going to lower emotional risk. And then when perceived risk drops, that's when you see the trust go through the roof. So, once again, trust does not start with credentials. They're important. You should have them, absolutely. But it also, more importantly, starts with reliability. And that's why inconsistency will kill trust. If your clients only hear from you when it's time for the reviews or when something goes wrong, you will see that there's a fragility there with the trust. And then the trust never really is able to bloom. It's never really truly able to compound from there. And keep in mind, consistency is not marketing. That's not what I'm saying. It's reassurance. And trust will definitely break if you're moving too fast. That's one of the fastest ways to lose trust. If you're moving faster, then the client is emotionally ready to move. Even if the recommendation is 100% spot on, your client needs to emotionally own their decision, not be forced into it, not be rushed into it. You cannot rush emotional certainty. And this is where many advisors, not on purpose, accidentally sabotage trust. They'll say things like, "This is the logical move for you. This actually makes sense mathematically." But the client's sitting there and think, "No, man, am I safe? Am I making a mistake? What if this goes wrong?" So you want to make sure that your client feels in control of their own piece. And you want to continue to make sure that you reinforce trust after the decision. Because we focus on all of our energy on getting the yes, I get it. But let's continue to reinforce trust after the decision has been made. So thinking about things within your firm of how smooth was the implementation? Did the follow-ups happen like we said they would? Did the clients feel supported during uncertainty? So when your actions consistently match your promises, that's when you see these clients ultimately give you all of their trust. And that's when you see your referrals go through the roof. I can't tell you how many times I've heard over the years, I don't know what's going on. I'm not asking more, but my referrals are going crazy. That's because you've done a wonderful job of creating a fantastic environment of trust. And the uncomfortable reality to all of this is that you don't lose trust because the plan failed. That's not when you lose trust. You lose trust because the experience of the process didn't match the expectation. And this is where you want to make sure that your long-term relationships are built in concrete. Or they are in cement forever. And once again, this is how you blow those referrals out. Like you just go crazy with the referrals. So, how do your clients decide? Every client, whether they realize it or not, they are running decisions through a mental filter, and they're making these decisions along the lines of do I feel heard right now? Do I feel safe? Do I feel rushed? am I going to trust this person when things get hard? If those answers are yes, once again, the recommendation almost doesn't matter. However, if the answers are no, you could have all of the logic in the world, the greatest plans in the world, that won't matter. That won't help them make a decision. Actually, it won't help them make the yes decision. The no decision will be easy for them. So let's make sure that we build trust intentionally. Okay. So if this episode, if it hit home for you and you're realizing that trust isn't something that you no longer want to hope for, it's something that you want to make sure that you are designing. We've got something created. It's very practical. You head out to our website, which is simply evolvewithgradient.com/ace team. Evolvewithgradient.com/ace team. And this is where you can request our advisor trust and client experience framework. So this is going to help you to be able to identify where trust is being built and where it's quietly breaking. Because if trust feels harder than it should, this framework is going to show you, it's going to immediately raise red flags, and you'll be able to see exactly where you're falling short. And if you want your clients to be able to confidently say yes, and even more confidently decide to stay with you, this is where you start. Once again, evolve with gradient.com/ace team. And before we wrap up, I want to speak directly to you, the advisor listening right now. Thank you. Genuinely, thank you. Thank you for the responsibility that you carry. I know it's not easy. Thank you for the decisions that you're making that no one else sees. Thank you for being a steady presence in your communities, especially when emotions are high and clarity is extremely hard to find. Keep in mind, you're not just managing money; you manage trust, like we've been talking about throughout this whole episode, and that this all matters more than you know. That this has been unfiltered and unstoppable. I'm Rob Romesburg. If today's episode brought any value, like the episode, follow the podcast, share it with another advisor who needs this message. Because as you know, the advisors who lead with trust, clarity, intention, that the stronger this profession becomes. So let's stay focused. Let's stay intentional and keep earning trust the right way. We'll see you next time on Unfiltered and Unstoppable. As always, thank you for what you do.
The opinions herein may be from personal experience and may not necessarily be those of the Gradient Financial Group, its employees, or affiliates. Any results, topics, or outcomes are for informational purposes only. Financial professional use only. Rob Romesburg does not render tax, legal, or accounting advice and is not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any government agency.